and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where this week now we are going to be building up again to Barca's return. And of course, don't forget, we are back on Thursday, the earlier time here after an international break. And today we have plenty of Barca news on the way. We're going to be talking all about Spain's dramatic win over the Netherlands last night in the Nations League, with Lamine Yamal taking centre stage. So much to talk about there. We're also going to be talking about Szczesny's future at Barca, and yesterday we had great debate on the channel, and today we need to have some more. We're going to be talking about Barca target Jonathan Tah. It is all on the way, guys. I hope you're going to enjoy it. Now let's do this. But indeed, guys, if we do first of all kick off here, we're just really where we've left off over the past few days, talking about our concerns at centre-back. Ahead of that game against Osasuna, we've got a number of players here who are on the verge of maybe not being involved at centre-back, and we thought that one of those was going to be Íñigo Martínez there, who of course just before the international break picked up a little bit of a knock against Atletico Madrid. Now it's worth stressing here, it wasn't a serious problem. It seemed as though it was one of those injuries that, would keep him away from the Spanish national team, out for the international break, but that he would return pretty soon after that. And the interesting thing right now is that Gerard Romero this morning says Íñigo could be back in time for Thursday. Now, of course, we have a number of concerns there. Pau Kubasi, he's touch and go. Araujo, he's going to be returning very, very late there from international duty. So if we could get Íñigo back for this game, that would be absolutely vital. And apparently there, his recovery, it's going well. He's looking at that game. He's trying to be ready. But as I always say when it comes to these kinds of situations, we mustn't force it though. You know, it's a big game on Thursday. Of course it is there in terms of the title race, but the season is long. We have many, many big games to come, and we don't want to have any sort of relapses there or cut any corners. Íñigo should only play if he's absolutely right, guys. But let's talk about the man that would be behind him, between the sticks, the man who's been so impressive over the past few games, Szczesny. What a man, what a guy this is. You know, every time I talk about Szczesny, guys, a big smile here comes to my face, you know, thinking about that incredible reaction against Atletico Madrid there. He's a chill guy, you know, and him in goal, it makes me chill, and that is much appreciated there, and that is why we all want to see this man continue at the club. And Barca have been very, very clear there. Hansi Flick as well, they want Szczesny to continue at the club, they want to renew his contract, and Szczesny has been thinking over the past few days, over the international break, about what he'd like to do. And of course, don't forget, this guy was retired a few months ago. You know, we didn't expect here to be thinking about renewals, about coming back and even extending his stay at the club, but here we are, and apparently what we're hearing now is that he will renew. Szczesny has decided to stay at Barca, and reportedly there's a deal on the table there for 1 year plus the option of a further year again. So they're going into next season and maybe even beyond. And I just wonder there, in those talks about a new deal, in the future plans that we're discussing here, has anything been spoken about, you know, regarding Ter Stegen's return? You know, has Szczesny there been speaking to the club and saying, well, when he comes back, what's going to happen? You know, are we going to be in serious competition? Is Ter Stegen just going to come back in immediately? What's really going to happen there with that number one spot in terms of the goalkeeping role? It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on, but Szczesny is going to be staying. That is great news for the club. He's a great person, a great character to have around, and I cannot wait to see more of him in a Barca shirt, guys. But let's move on here to everything that went on last night there. Spain, such a dramatic victory on penalties over the Netherlands there in the Nations League. It went right the way into extra time, and Yamal, of course, thought he'd won it for them. And what a goal it was. Can we just talk about that, the way that he just cuts in there, sidesteps his man onto that left foot. What a finish it was to give Spain that 3-2 lead in extra time. And Yamal, just sensational. On the big occasion when the pressure is on, he goes to another level. And that is why, can we just say here, that's why people from the outside they're looking for a way to criticise him. Because what you cannot do is criticise anything about what this young man is doing. At 17 years old, he is doing historic things. And that's why it's kind of hard to understand, I guess. Somebody like Rafael van der Vaart, somebody who's played the game for many, many years, played indeed at Real Madrid for a little bit of time as well. He is, of course, a Dutchman, which probably doesn't help in this case here with the game that we saw. But he said before the game, I noticed some things about Yamal that start to annoy me, that sort of don't really sit right with me. He started speaking about his shorts were too low. He didn't try hard enough. He had some superficial gestures. I didn't like those things. And I just don't understand. Number one, before a game like this, before you play against him, why would you want to give him ammunition? Why would you want to fire him up? It seems like a really, really silly thing to do, silly thing to say before this game. And what he's saying there, his shorts are too low. What are you talking about? You know, you're looking for a reason here to criticise this kid. There's nothing you can say about his game. There's nothing you can say here about what he's achieving, because like I say, we haven't seen this before. He is doing unbelievable things. So yeah, let's criticise his shorts. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and that is why I love Yamal's reaction. He is so good at this kind of thing here, because after the game, he posts there on Instagram a series of photos from the game, from the win there over the Netherlands, and he captions it, pants down, goal scored, missed penalty, and the semi-finals. Vamos, Spain. So that is the absolutely perfect way to respond to that kind of chatter. Because that's what I love about Yamal as well. He doesn't address these things in the moment. You know, he didn't do a lot of talking before the game there, didn't do any talking during the game. He does his business, he goes out on the field, he gets the job done, and then he'll give it back. He will let his football do the talking first, because it's not the first time that we've seen this, by the way. Because remember at the Euros, it was a very, very similar situation there, where Rabiot, right before playing against Spain, for some reason decided to say, oh, Yamal, in order to beat us, he's got to do more. He'll have to do more than he's done in the tournament so far. He'll have to give more. Why would you say these things? Why would you give him a challenge? Because this boy will accept it. This player here will make you eat your words. And then, of course, we saw Yamal curl one in the top corner on Rabiot's head. And you're not laughing then, are you? You're not speaking then, because, again, it's the perfect response. And I love the way that Yamal handles all of these things in his stride. He never gets overawed by it. He never feels as though he's got to snap back. He just does his talking on the field yesterday. And also a wonderful moment in the penalty shootout there where Yamal, yeah, he did miss his penalty, but Pedri was the man to step up. Ferran scored earlier on in the shootout too, and Pedri delivering the winning penalty there. Great move for Spain. Good for the confidence there of Pedri, of Ferran, for Yamal. Unfortunate that Frankie came out, of course, on the losing side, but it was a classic match there. A really dramatic ending to that Nations League quarter-final. And let's see now what happens in the coming rounds. Because that's when we do, guys, indeed move on to talk about Jonathan Tah, who he himself was actually involved in the Nations League last night, and it was another really high-scoring game there. Germany were 3-0 up against Italy in their quarter-final, and they actually let that slip right the way back to 3-3 in the end. They did go through, though. It was all okay for them, but defensively, they were a little bit all over the place, and Tah did start the game. He did play the entirety of it, and I've got to say, it wasn't particularly good from him. And this is not the first time that I've felt this in recent times. And don't forget, he's very much a Barca target. But I think it's quite interesting right now, because we did think that Barca had pretty much wrapped up his signing there. He's going to be a free agent in the summer. Flick was actually a very, very big believer in him. We thought that he was almost guaranteed to arrive, but it seems as though that's maybe not as close as we thought. Right now, apparently in the media, it's being said that Barca, they are just waiting right now. They're not fully pulling the trigger on this deal, and they are looking at other deals. They are maybe not really focusing that much on Tah. And he's also reportedly listening to offers too from the Premier League, from clubs there like Tottenham, and also perhaps from Liverpool. And I'm just wondering right now, would it be the right move? He's 29 years old, he's a free agent. You can understand Barca looking at him, looking at the market opportunity that he is. And if Flick really wants him, then at the end of the day, we do trust in Hansi Flick. We do understand that he really knows what's best for this team. So if Flick really, really does like him, then of course Barca can go ahead and get him. I've got no problem at all with that. But I do think Barca are a little bit undecided right now. And the reason behind that is Tar's form? You know, I've watched him a few times recently playing for Leverkusen in the Bundesliga and indeed, of course, recently in the Champions League. And I've also watched him there for Germany. So 2 different teams. And he's just not really convinced me. He has looked very, very shaky at times. He has put in some really lacklustre defensive displays. And I just don't know if it would be the right move. And I know it's a free agent. I know there's not a huge amount of risk with it. But I'm just not really sure that in the centre-back department there, that he would drastically improve upon what we have, that he would actually get in the team ahead of so many of the great centre-backs we've seen at Barca this season. And I guess I'm just wondering at this point, you know, am I on my own here? Am I one of the ones who've just been looking at Tar and thinking, I don't know about him? Or do you guys share the same feelings? You know, have you seen him recently? What have you made of his performances? And if you were Barca having to make the decision right now, would you be looking to sign him? Would you still be looking to bring him in on that free signing? Obviously, there's wages attached to that too, but let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of Jonathan Tah? And if you had to decide now, yes or no, would you make him a Barca player? Do let me know all of that down below, and also let me know your reaction to Lamine Yamal, his magic, and his response to Rafael van der Vaart last night, guys. Let me know all that in the comments down below. I will see all of you very, very soon indeed, with lots more to come on the channel. Thank you indeed for all of your great support. But until next time, as always, Vejska, Barça.